Hey everyone, I'm just gonna go live here for a few minutes. Kind of forgot I had a webcam above my head here, so I figured I'd use it while I'm doing some for these heads. So I sculpted this head the other day, this weird skull head guy. Um, Going for a cyberpunk blame manga kind of look here. And I've already cast four of them. Um, this one here, I ran out of resin in the mold, so it didn't quite take right. Didn't fill up all the way. So I'll just have at it here, I guess. I'm gonna put on my gloves so I don't get resin all over my hands because it's kind of a pain to get off. I use the Smooth On 300 little So Strong black colorant. And I have one here that I poured about 20 minutes ago, so it's ready to demold. I made the mold with Legos. Got laughed at a little bit with that by Blappy, but it's good for my small stuff. I don't do my own casting for Industria Mechanica, thank goodness. I mean, my stuff's actually not too bad, but that casting is much better. And this one looks perfect too. Like the casting is actually turning out really nice. This little bit of a flash here will scrape away, and there's not even a seam. I've done a pretty nice job with this, despite my actual lack of experience and credentials. The mold itself is made with Umu 30, also from Smooth On. So let's do the next one here. What I do, I don't actually spray my molds with mold release. I found that I don't have to. What I do instead is I use a little bit of baby powder. And somebody told me about this trick. And at first I was like, right, let's put something coarse and gritty in there. Ha ha ha, that'll do the trick. Um, Back in my salad days of model making and when I first started doing my own molds, but it actually works out pretty well. What I found that the baby powder does is the surface tension. See, it dusted the inside of the mold here. The surface tension is all screwy. I don't know. It actually ends up pulling the resin into some of the creases, and I end up without any bubbles as a result, which is really nice considering I'm not going to be using a pressure pot or a vacuum chamber or anything like that, because for the small amount of crap that I do, it's just not worth the investment. Um, all right, so first I've got my just a little bit of a reshake here. I've got some Dixie cups, some plastic Dixie cups here. I only have a couple left, so I can only make a few more molds before I have to go to the store. I have a line here where I will pour up to. And I made that with a Sharpie. And what I'll do is I have a desk lamp right here. Is I will pour to the line, but I could also use the light. Oh man, it's tripping. It usually doesn't. I could use the light to see through the cup and see exactly how much I've poured. Just kind of nice. This yellow one, this part A, is a little caustic. It'll melt through this cup. So I'll get maybe an hour's use out of this particular cup before it's dead. Part B, I don't have a line on it. I'll just end up using the light through the cup to see and measure. You need equal parts of part A and part B. And that is good. It's one thing I've gotten good at over the years is lining stuff up. All right, so I'm not sure you can see, there's a little bit of bubbles in here from just that little quick shake. A little bit of breath on that. And I could actually dip this cup in my ultrasonic cleaner, and that'll like push all the bubbles out, but there's actually none left, just those little ones on the top. So I'm going to take my So Strong colorant here and put a little pea-sized glop of that in to the bottom, and I'll take a popsicle stick and give this a quick mix. Okay, so I'm only going to get one use out of this cup because I'm going to end up pouring the A part into it, which is why I end up using this cup a few times. The reason I don't do it the other way around is this one is a little thicker, so I'm not going to get it all poured out as well every time. Then this cup here I use for the second mixing. So I'm going to pour A into B, the colorized B, set that aside, give this a quick stir, and then I will do an additional mixing in the second cup. And the reason I do the second cup mixing, aside from the instructions, I don't actually know if these ones do it, it's just if you need to do, but what I found is I get a more thorough mix this way. Otherwise I might end up with a little not quite mixed all the way resin. Alright, set that aside. The paper underneath here is actually label backing. All right, label backing. The stuff, none of this resin and stuff sticks to it, which is nice. So I've got a limited amount of time here. So the first thing I do though is I'll pour a little bit of resin into this mold, and then I'm going to rotate the mold around. What this is doing is actually getting the resin into kind of the nooks and crannies, so I don't have to worry about having a vacuum chamber to suck all the bubbles out. That'll start coating that, and I found that for me it works. It just, some of the little tricks you pick up. So I'll pour this in until it gets to the top of the tab. All right, set that aside. I'll set my timer here for 15 minutes. And I have a little bit of extra resin in the cup, so what I do is I have these little extra detail molds that I've made out of made from parts or spheres, and I've made these molds using the Alumilite amazing mold putty. So what these are, like, I'll get half circles that I could use later on for things. Some of these little shapes are pretty good. That was the first extra one I've poured. I'll use these for like little gas mask things if I want to put gas mask filter kind of things on it. I did it on that other gas mask guy I did with the reflective helmet. And that's it. Now I just got to wait 15 minutes. I don't know if you can see, there's some of the bubbles have come up in the top of this thing. Mold here, they've formed up. And the way I have it in the mold is like this. Sideways, you can see the top of the mold here. And that way this is flat. I don't end up getting bubbles in the tops of these little nub things on the edges, which I would otherwise. I don't have to worry about bubbles in the chin, because if I did the head straight, the chin is pointing up, and that's, I'd end up with bubbles up there because the mold wouldn't pour unless I put some kind of little tab. This way, doing it like this lets all the bubbles rise to the top. So yeah, so that's it for this head. I'm actually doing a few more. This one is actually a lot like the original gas mask guy I did. Working on that. Doing a female rabbit version here using some parts. And I have another mask guy I'm working on using Wing Zero perfect grade extra parts. I think this is from an EVA kit. This is from a 1/12 scale, maybe, or no, smaller than that. Maybe 120. I don't know. 124 scale motorcycle um, kit. And I just use little bits from the bits box to make them. The heads themselves, I have a few heads that I made a mold of, some real plastic heads. And what I like about them is I get this guy had his head shaved, and I can get the proportions right for these masks. I don't have to worry about like, okay, like this guy's head is too, he doesn't have, you're like, I'm not gonna make like pinheads or flat heads or weird heads. It's actually going to be the correct size over the correct scale head when I do it. All right, well, I guess that's it. So gonna sign off here, and not gonna sit around and yammer on for 15 minutes until this is cured. But when my timer goes off here, old school timer, it will I'll be able to demold and be able to cast one more using my last cup before calling it quits, and then I'll move on to finishing up those other heads and do some painting and some other. I have some stuff I'm actually designing for another robot, kind of like the Clyde A, that's coming out. Still waiting on the resin for that, so that I can put one together. And I can't actually do final picks because some of the parts need glued before I can final assemble it. And I want to actually show it in its best light. I have a few pics of it all taped and stuff, and it just looks wonky because of the way it's posed. It's not posed correctly. It's just limp, and that'll be done soon. All right, guys. I'll talk to you soon.